I'm Catherine O'Brien. Welcome to the Stanford CEO Forum with John Kilcullen, Chairman and CEO of IDG Books Worldwide. Kilcullen is the brains behind the For Dummies series, if that doesn't sound like an oxymoron. These are the books that people turn to learn about everything from the internet to investing. For Dummies is a powerful brand, but it didn't just happen. It was carefully crafted. Let's listen to John Kilcullen explain how to build a brand.
No, I'm okay. Thank you. I have historically come back to Stanford, having gone to their Stanford Publishing course and attended it as someone who started a company here in April of 1990. I then came back the next year and taught a course on what they don't teach you at the Stanford Professional Publishing course. And then I taught a course on startup publishing, then I taught a course on entrepreneurship, and then this most recent summer taught one on branding. So today, what I wanted to do is kind of address some of the questions that I'm asked often, which is this Dummies brand is very unconventional, very contrarian. How has it gotten to become part of a company that's gone public? One of the fastest growing public companies in the San Francisco Bay Area, is rated by the San Francisco Business News. And the notion of where to start and how someone like yourselves or your colleagues, your organizations could participate in what is a real fun grassroots startup, which is building a global brand. So the presentation tonight is really about branding, entrepreneurship, startups, and what we're currently doing, which is transforming our company from a static book company into a dynamic, continuous learning company, and how we believe the internet and continuous access 24/7 to our portfolio of knowledge is going to be a very substantial growth strategy for us moving forward. So a couple of thoughts that I wanted to begin with, which is, now that we've lost there we go, wonderful, is the notion of our growth and where did it come from. In 1987, I was in a restaurant in New York City. I was a sales representative for a large Bertelsmann company, Bantam AA Dell, and I always had a dream, which was to start my own company. I was on the firing lines, in the trenches, but from a sales capacity. And in publishing, in the media business, editorial typically drives the train. I always felt that editorial was never close to the customer. It was often an ivory tower. Typically, it had a point of view that was not necessarily shared by the marketplace. So I had this idea. It was in a restaurant, and much like we do tonight, we talk with colleagues. And what's going on? What have you heard? What's new? What's interesting? So DOS for Dummies was an idea expressed by a customer in a store who said, I need to learn this arcane DOS system. You know, something for beginners, very, very simple. I'm too busy. I don't have a lot of time. You know, DOS for Dummies. Do you have something like that? And Paul Saffo, who also teaches here at Stanford as part of the Institute for the Future, calls that a field event. And field events are something that take place at cocktail parties, maybe when you're reading a newspaper, Saturday morning TV, watching the stock market, talking to friends, going to a soccer game with your son or daughter, and you hear something, and it's striking, and it's memorable. You can't forget it. It gnaws at you. It's completely, relentlessly saying, follow, pursue that. That was 1987. We launched the company here in the Peninsula in 1990, launched the book in 1991. DOS for Dummies was launched with 7,500 copy first print, which is a very modest first print for a book publisher. The largest chain in America, Walden Books. I went up to Stamford, Connecticut. We were a startup company. We had $1.5 million in seed capital. We were losing money. This was a very much an idea that was born out of risk, and take the big risk. Went up to Stanford and I got 2 orders, which was ended in the conversation. I don't like the idea. I don't like the concept. I don't like the cover. So here's 2 orders, get out and stay out. And it was an amazing experience. It was a transformative experience, because when someone tells you no, and you're a startup company, and you're the founder, CEO, you're out in the marketplace, and they say, no, we hate it. So we went grassroots. We then established this book as a brand. And when you can see, the growth went from 1991, the launch of the book. We then went PCs for Dummies. Then we were about to launch Macs for Dummies. And everyone said, hey, we're on the Peninsula, Apple, it's very intuitive. The Mac doesn't need a manual, certainly doesn't need a book, and for sure you don't want to carry the Microsoft DOS PC orientation over into the Macintosh crowd, which is very cult-like. And what I believe then and believe now is that even my own staff didn't understand the concept of branding. What is a brand? Why is it sustainable? What are the characteristics of branding, and how can you make that a competency in your organization? So they said, why don't you call it Macs for Meatheads, Macs for Morons? The true strength of DOS for Dummies is the alliteration. Okay? So again, always following my own conviction, never following the kind of normal path, we did Macs for Dummies. Still the #1 book in the marketplace, and a tremendous success. And so, as we sleep and continue on, we moved on and then we launched CD, multimedia. We had a great success in going into non-cap personal finance for dummies. That was an idea that came from Quicken for Dummies. Customers kept telling us, you're teaching me how to use Quicken, but you're not teaching me about money management. You're not teaching me about how to use this advice beyond the software program. So Personal Finance for Dummies was launched at San Francisco and New York City post offices. We gave away a little booklet, Personal Finance Tips for Dummies. We were next to Pepto-Bismol and Tylenol and Bayer. And the notion those packaged good companies were selling was, if the tax time gives you a headache, why don't you get some relief? And we said, if personal finance and tax gives you a headache, why don't you get some knowledge? And knowledge is power, and knowledge rules. We got on CNBC, a startup company. We got a tremendous visibility from that simple event. And event marketing, creative and as uncanny as it might be, with a Dummies character with big yellow Converse sneakers around those post offices, got us a lot of attention. So we've grown pretty fast. It's been a company that's always been relentless about trying the next big thing. But branding always, time and time again, is the holy grail of any industry sector. It's certainly much cheaper and faster to do and create a brand on the internet as opposed to spending 10, 20 years if you're in a traditional packaged good mode. But branding is really simple, and I want to repeat this because it's always struck me as a very terrific metaphor, way to conceptualize what a brand is. Since a product is something that's made in the factory, and a brand is something that's bought by a customer. A product can be copied by a competitor, but a brand is unique. A product can be quickly outdated, but a successful brand is timeless. And that, study any brand in any sector, those are the key attributes and characteristics of a successful brand, which should be based upon an emotional linkage with your customer. The notion of Dummies is simple. Who in this room has read, touched, or heard about a Dummies book? Proud to admit it. Congratulations. That's great. The emotional linkage we have with our customers and the notion of psychographics. How do people associate? What are the cues? What do they feel about your brand? What association, what connection do they have? People are smart, but they're being made to feel dumb by the technical, engineering, financial, pick an industry that's dominated by jargon that makes you feel intimidated, confused, frustrated, left out. Okay? Wine for Dummies. The Enophiles, wine for the rest of us. Golf for Dummies. Gary McCord, CBS TV. All the accoutrements to golf, all the jargon, the person who wants to appreciate golf, entertain a client, go out with their husband, have fun with their son or daughter. That's what we've done. We've revolutionized learning. We've created a mass market brand around the notion of what a brand is. So when we took that competency and we said, okay, what's the first step in branding? And again, I argue you can take these principles into any sector, service or products, whether it's a packaged good or on the internet. And strategic positioning, it's about 6 key words. Branding is about defining the market to your advantage. When I started the company, there were these large documentation created by Microsoft and Lotus and everyone else that was incomplete, written by the manufacturer, often biased, and often never documenting the errors. Okay? We all know that. What industry allows a consumer company to ship a good that's got bugs in it? No bugs in it. Wouldn't work in any other industry. Technology worked. All the publishers at the time were creating these formulaic, linear, very stilted books. So I said, let's run in the opposite direction. Let's create a mass market brand. Let's get this funky yellow cover. Let's create this Dummies icon. And I often have told I look like the Dummies man. I used to have circular glasses, but I threw them away because I was getting that too much. But the notion that how do I define the market as a startup to my advantage? If I'm starting an internet company, how do I define the market to my advantage, whether I'm in e-commerce or B2B or trying to build a content business? Very important, simple words. Repeat that mantra over and over to your team. Define the market to our advantage. How do we do that? Let's discuss it. Let's fine-tune it. And let's not be me too. And you've got to attach yourself to something that's very distinguishable that your customers can relate to. People related to feeling dumb. Why is it that I can't set the clock on my VCR? Why is it that I don't understand how to pick a bottle of wine that's always going to taste consistently the way I enjoy wine? I personally enjoy white Burgundy Chardonnays. I don't like Sauvignon Blancs. I do not like red wine. Okay? The notion is, where am I going to go to turn where someone's going to appreciate, I'm busy, I don't have a lot of time, I'm frustrated, I've got to entertain a client, I got to move now. So that's what the connection was, that emotional linkage of feeling left out, being disenfranchised, and you want to have fun because you want to get on with the rest of your life. So I think that's a very strategic notion. Be specific and descriptive about what it is that you are defining as your strategic position. Now, as you look at that, some case in points. You think about Amazon, it's easy, you've heard it, the cliche. Barnes & Noble, bricks and mortar, defined brand, foot traffic, tremendous superstore success. And then along comes Amazon. What did Amazon say? How do I define the market to my advantage? They started with book selling, a very large market, and they said, I want 24-hour convenience, I want selection, a hard-to-find book, I want product knowledge, I want to suggestively upsell. So if you come in the store, i.e. Amazon.com, you can get other books or other products of interest, and the rest is history. Okay? They took a very savvy approach to defining the market to their advantage, using the internet as a platform medium, and creating, and Jeff would tell you, Jeff Bezos, defining the customer experience. That's his razor-like focus, and they've done a terrific job. And with their latest announcements with Z-Shops, they're now leveraging the medium, the internet, their customer traffic to their advantage. When you look at PC World, which is a sister company, PC Magazine, launched by Ziff Davis, the head and shoulders winner in the magazine, technology magazine space. They had the top 100 reviews, the best test labs, a big, fat book, thump. PC World is probably a third less circulation. So they said, I'm going to define the market to my advantage. Instead of being the technical hardware guru, we're going to be for the PC proficient manager. Now PC World has got a larger circulation than PC Magazine, and the PC proficient manager, as opposed to the techie, the early adopter, has become a very sustainable competitive advantage. And then lastly, an out-of-technology example, but if you look at Branson, Richard Branson, what is Virgin? What does Virgin as a brand stand for versus British Airways? Absolutely for the people, unconventional, very democratic. We're going to serve you, and we're going to have bars, and we're going to have manicures and massage and soon jacuzzis, and British Airways is going to be the staid, stoic British experience. Indeed, a tremendous advantage, one that's vibrant, one that's alive, one that people can connect to. So I would submit that branding is not simply in the service industry or in the product industry something that is out of the touch of any of you. When I started this company, I came out of the sales force. Never ran a P&L center, never managed too many people, never acquired or published a book in my life. I just had a connection with how people feel about not being able to participate in learning or deploying technology or being productive or generating a report or doing a PowerPoint presentation or appreciating how to garden or cook or parent or date or perform a wedding. These are all books in our portfolio that do tremendously well.